Hey everyone, Cybermat here, and today I wanted to share my overdue thoughts on The Last Jedi. It sucked. No, this is one of those movies that I left the theater really conflicted about. There were parts of it I liked, parts of it I found it entertaining, even things that I didn't agree with the direction they took the character or the direction they took a certain aspect of the story. But what they did with that, I thought, oh, well, that was kind of cool. I can see what they were trying to do there. But overall, I think the film is not well written. The plot is not very well handled. A certain character in it is handled really poorly. And, you know, it really, to sum things up, it's a very flawed but entertaining film. But the more and more I thought about it, you know, in the weeks since I've seen it, the angrier I've gotten, and the more confused I've gotten as to why they would make certain decisions to go in a certain direction with a character. So now that I've talked about that, I want to get into really what I didn't like about the film, and we're going to talk about spoilers. The plot of this film, a lot of the story beats are really kind of contrived, convoluted. The whole thing about the First Order fleet chasing the Resistance fleet, and the Resistance ships are smaller, therefore they're faster and more maneuverable, and they're able to stay out of the First Order's firing range. So the First Order's brilliant idea is to just follow them until they run out of gas. When, you know, they could, I don't know, maybe jump to hyperspace and then jump back in front of them and take them out, or send out a squad of TIE fighters to take them out. You know, so that part feels kind of contrived. I don't really understand why they went with that. And then you have this whole plot where, you know, oh, they can track them through hyperspace, so, you know, we've got to go off the ship to another planet to find this code breaker who can get them on one of the First Order ships to get them through shielding and disable the hyperspace tracker. But then that goes on this big tangent on this casino planet, Canto Bight, which goes on for far too long, drags the movie down, and has this plot about saving these animals that are being used as slaves, while they leave behind all the children that are used as slaves. You know, it feels like it's trying to make this, you know, social commentary thing, and it just, to me, it doesn't work. It shouldn't have been in the film, but yeah, it really shouldn't have been in the film. Then you have the whole storyline with Poe Dameron, who, yes, we get it. He is this hotshot that needs to learn his lesson that sometimes, you know, you can't go charging into battle. You have to think things through. And you have that admiral played by Laura Dern, who, you know, he's asking, you know, her what the plan is, and for everyone else that's wondering what the plan is, and she doesn't tell him. And I can understand maybe what they were going for in that moment, where she was like, you know, I don't have to answer to you. You're a soldier. You're an underling. You do what you're told. So, you know, just no. But then he does his mutiny, and she still doesn't tell him. And then by the time, you know, Poe Dameron finally does find out what the plan is, he was like, oh, that was a good idea. And that probably would have worked, but problem was he had already instituted his own plan, which got a bunch of people killed. So if there was really no reason for this vice admiral to not tell him what the plan is, and this is why I say that it's poor writing, poor plotting. So yeah. God, what else? Oh, of course, we can open the can. Oh God, talk about the elephant in the room of Luke Skywalker. So fans since Return of the Jedi have wanted to, and through the expanded universe, through the books and all that, have seen the Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. And, we've been wanting to see him in this film. They built him up in The Force Awakens, saying Luke Skywalker's missing. And that movie was all about trying to find him. And so they find him in this. And, Rey, hands him his lightsaber. And he just throws it over his shoulder. Like it's meaningless. It means nothing to him. And so this is one of those aspects of the film, the comedy in this, just does not work for me. And this whole film really, really tries to subvert your expectations way too much. I can understand that, but it just does it way too much. And the comedy just doesn't work. It falls flat a lot of the time. And what they did with Luke Skywalker, I understand what they were trying to do. They wanted to turn him into kind of an Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of outcast character, but he has basically become kind of a coward. He had this massive failure with Ben, and instead of trying to rectify it, do something about it, he decides the Jedi need to end. I don't care what happens to the universe. I'm gonna go to an island to die. And it's just like, is that the Luke Skywalker from the original trilogy? And sure, he's been through a lot that has happened off screen that we haven't seen, but to me that just doesn't fit with the character. It really feels like Rian Johnson had this idea of where he wanted Luke Skywalker to be, and said, how do we get him there? Instead of, this is the character, where would he be now? And it, to me, that really, really did not work. Again, and then you have Rey, who really gets little to no training and is still able to use the Force really well, and use a lightsaber really well and all that. And then the Snoke scene, granted the fight scene in that was pretty cool. I like that. But killing Snoke without finding out anything about him, when he was built up so much as this mysterious character in the Force Awakens, it's just another thing to kind of shock audiences and just be like, oh, you thought he was important? No. And I just don't like that. And I hope they rectify that in the next film, just to explain things. Like, I want to know, more of what happened with Ben and Luke, and how Snoke influenced Ben and all of that. But I don't think we're going to get any of that in the films. I think they really want to relegate that stuff to books and comics and stuff, and just to sell those. And then you have characters like Captain Phasma, who I believe they said she was gonna be bigger in this film, and she was shortchanged yet again, and was killed off like just like a punk. It makes no sense. Because she was a cool character, and they made such a big deal about having a female stormtrooper, in Force Awakens, and she barely did anything in Force Awakens. She barely did anything in this film. And then you have the character of Rose, and people are saying, oh, she's a really compelling character. I thought the actress was fine, but, again, really, I think the problem was her whole scene, or the whole plot line with her and Finn on Canto Bight was more or less meaningless, at least until the ending of the film. because it was all about inspiring hope, and that was what the whole movie was about. But to me, I didn't really find her character all that compelling, and it felt like they were trying to set up maybe a forced love triangle or something that you know, I didn't really see any chemistry between her and Finn, and I just don't really see that going anywhere. And, you know, ultimately, and then, you know, having really no, like, Luke Skywalker not having like a big lightsaber fight, not really showing him as a Jedi Master, but just this failure of a character, and just having him, you know, disconnected from the Force, and just not wanting anything to do with that. Some of it I like that he thinks the Jedi need to end, because that's a pretty good commentary on what the Jedi have accomplished. You know, I mean, it was their fault that Palpatine got into power in the first place. But just the fact that, you know, they were just trying to subvert expectations so much with Luke, it just didn't work. Fans have been waiting to see him for so long as this powerful Jedi Master, and then, oh God, I could go on and on about Luke, but I just think that they really didn't respect the character. And then you have older characters like Chewbacca, C-3PO, R2-D2, who are shortchanged in this movie. They don't care. They don't care about the older characters, because it's all about the new characters. And you know what? I can understand that. But this movie was all about disrespecting the old characters. They did it. It's pretty telling when C-3PO and R2-D2 have more screen time in a Verizon wireless commercial than they did in The Last Jedi. And I like BB-8, but, you know, I just would have liked more of the original trilogy droids. That's all I'm saying. You know, but as I said before, ultimately there were entertaining parts of this movie. It is well directed, but the writing, I think, could have been better. The plotting is not very good, and ultimately I think this really does a disservice to a lot of characters. And there was so much closure in this movie. I'm really not interested in Episode 9 at all. I mean, this movie turned me off to Star Wars so much that I don't really care to see how this trilogy ends. And it goes to show that they've already admitted they had no plans for where the trilogy was going. They just thought, oh, we're going to do Episode 7, it's its own thing, Episode 8's going to be its own thing, and Episode 9's going to be its own thing, and we'll just work out the details. And it's like, that is the stupidest idea I have ever heard. You had to have some sort of plan going into this. But, you know, I think that while a lot of people liked The Last Jedi, when it's viewed in context within this trilogy, I mean, just going from Force Awakens to Last Jedi, there are a lot of inconsistencies. Inconsistencies in tone, inconsistencies in characters, in a number of things. You know, things they set up in Force Awakens that they just don't pay off in this movie. And that's really where I'm at. You know, given that I don't know if I'm gonna even buy this on Blu-ray. I may, but we'll have to see. But that's where I'm at with Star Wars right now. I don't really care about the Solo film. I don't honestly care about any other Star Wars movie unless they do an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. That would be pretty cool. But actually have a story worth telling. But let me know what you guys thought of The Last Jedi down in the comments below. And as always, like the video, share it, and subscribe. Till next time.